back to the Swayside Connection podcast. And on this episode, we have a special guest, and he has one of my favorite names from high school. And who do we have here?
Your boy Darius Alexander. Yeah.
AKA, that's what I'm talking about. So that's actually where I wanted to start. Like, so man, how did you get that? How'd you get that, Tron?
My middle name's Letraun. But yeah,
Okay.
so growing up before high school, everybody called me Tron. And then about 11th grade, I switched it up.
Yeah, see, that's why. Okay, I didn't know that. See, that's why I'm glad that we got that cleared up, because I was like, man, why do we all call him Tron for? Like, people called you Tron, so I was like, okay, that's Tron. So, so it's Letron is your middle name.
Yeah.
That's tight. Do you know where that comes from? Are you named after anybody or?
No idea.
Damn, your parents are just cool like that, because I still think that's a cool name. So yeah, man. Man, how did you hear about this podcast that you're now on?
I was at a basketball game, and then James Jackson was sitting next to me. He's like, "Oh man, did you hear Corey Alexander's interview?" And I was like, "Is he on the news? Is he all right?" And then Brienne hit me up and let me know she was doing one and told me to get at.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of people have been asking to have you on. So I'm just like, I'm so thankful that you are able to get on with us. When did you come to Spanaway?
We moved here in 87. So when I was 7 years old, started going to Thompson in second grade.
Thompson?
Yeah. Yep. So
elementary?
Yep.
Any good memories from Thompson, by the way?
Oh, honestly, man, like elementary and middle school, junior high, whatever you want to call it, it was rough. But right after we moved in here, John Tucker, Terrence Tucker moved in next door to us. So those been like my brothers since we were little. So I guess my best memories are with them and going out in the woods and all that kind of stuff. But at school, I ain't gonna lie, it was rough for a brother.
Oh, so what do you mean? Like, what was rough about it?
Man, I got made fun of a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all the way up to about 11th grade, got made fun of a lot. So I remember a lot of those kind of things. And of course, as we get older, like we get some of the stuff, but I do know like those are some of the kind of things that like molded me into who I am and why I do some of the things that I do.
For sure. And then after Thompson, you went to Spanaway Junior, correct?
Yeah.
Did you do any activities when you were like younger? Because I didn't really do stuff when I was in middle school or not. Yeah. I was only in maybe choir.
In Honor Society and Heritage Club or whatever it was called back then, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I got two brothers. So one in South Carolina, then I have another brother up in Lacey. Those are my two older brothers. And then my younger brother, he came up right behind us. He's about 3.5 years younger. So he graduated 4 years after us.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so man, all boys.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. And then did your other brothers, did they go to Spanaway Junior and Spanaway Lake too, or?
Not my oldest brother, he grew up in South Carolina, and then my second oldest brother.
Gotcha.
We moved down here from Lake in 87, so he went to his senior year at Spanaway Lake, so he graduated from there, but he wasn't really like part of the school like that. And then
it's tough.
Yeah, and my younger brother went to the same school as me, and then went to Spanaway Lake and Challenger, and I think he graduated from Challenger.
So what's up? And then, so I love it because you're 98 too. What was some of the things that you remember from like high school days and stuff like that?
The stoop, chilling at the stoop, rapping at the stoop.
That stoop was dope.
Like junior year was dope, man. I could live junior year a million times.
Why? Nice. Yeah. Why is that? Why junior year?
That's kind of like when I really found myself, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like 10th grade was rough. Like, going into high school, I walked into high school in 10th grade and was like, man, it's going to be different than middle school. Nah, it wasn't no different. And then junior year, I just got more confident, you know what I mean? Found myself a little bit, started kicking it with people, being more outgoing. And so I think that helped me a lot, man. Chilling at the stoop with like Simba and all that kind of stuff. And then kicking it with y'all. Like, it really just helped me come out of my shell. And it just made it fun. Like, that's when, I ain't gonna lie, that's when I started doing bad stuff. So that made it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, we'll keep it at bad stuff. Because there's a lot of bad stuff that happened back in those times. So it's, yeah. And then, man, so like Spanaway, man, what are your thoughts of Spanaway and like your relationship to it and all that good stuff?
Something I'm passionate about, man, and it's dope because I actually ended up buying the house that I grew up in. So I'm just big, man. Spanaway's home. You know what I mean? Spanaway's home. It was like coming up for us. So it's different because you see it changing, like some positive things, some negative things, but it's like I just feel like I'm so tied to it and just want to be a part of getting it to what we always needed or wanted it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in all honesty, like, the furthest I ever left is POU. I went to school at POU. So that's the furthest I've ever moved out of Spanaway.
Dang. So you're like, I think that's another reason why a lot of people kind of like want you to be on this show, because this is a show about Spanaway, and you're kind of right at the heart of it, right? So can you can you kind of talk a little bit more, since being in the area, during all of this time, maybe give us some like maybe updates of kind of like what you see, of Spanaway and the area and all that good stuff, both the positive and the negatives, that you kind of brought up.
Yeah, I think when we were growing up, it's like they were doing a lot of building out here, so everything was just it was new. It seemed
For
like
real.
when people were moving in, it's like people were pushing them towards us more. You know what I mean? Like there were
Yeah.
new houses, new stores going up, all that kind of stuff. And in the Spanaway part of it, it's just changed. Like all that stuff is being pushed out more like Puyallup, Frederickson, Graham area. So our area is kind of just like stayed the same for the most part, but then things are getting
Mm,
open. And so things are getting
yeah.
older. And then there was some stuff in Tacoma maybe like 10, 15 years ago where they were really
Yeah.
developing Tacoma. And so they started pushing like a lot of low income housing our way. And of course, that's never a knock on anybody or anything like that. But then opportunities leave at the same time. So we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of then after COVID especially, a lot of drug use and stuff. So a lot of homelessness is on the street. Not that those two things are connected, but you
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
see my area more. You remember Safeway off of
Yeah.
152nd?
Yeah. I
So
used to go there a lot.
So it's kind of crazy now. It's like I won't let my wife and my kids go there at night by
Oh,
themselves. Whereas before, like we could go
really?
time and it'd be cool, but the parking lot's pretty crazy most of the time. So it's stuff
Really?
like that, man. Just stuff starting to look a little bit more run down, but then there's still a whole bunch of potential and all those kind of things too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a good point you brought up, because like growing up in Spanaway, like all those outside places that you were kind of talking about, I never really went to a lot of those because there wasn't really much there, right? And now there's like everybody's kind of developing outwards towards, all those other places that you kind of brought up. So when you look back at that time in the 90s, like is there like any businesses that you kind of like miss, like when you kind of look back and like, man, I wish that was still there, or anything like that at all? Anything that's like feels like it's missing?
Man, it's gonna sound super corny, but there used to be that Jackpot gas station on Pacific. Gas was like 99 cents at that joint.
Yes.
And then Kmart, I'm like, man, that's where we got all of our clothes for my family.
Yeah.
Kmart shut down pretty much everything in that parking lot over there, shut down on that little strip mall.
What's in there now? Does anything replace it?
No, nah. In front of Kmart, they just got the big old cinder blocks and stuff in front of it. But it's been shut down for like 2 or 3 years, maybe even more than that now. So yeah, that whole parking lot's pretty much empty. There's a Dairy Queen, like a Grease Monkey oil change place, a Mexican restaurant, and then some other little store. But
Yeah.
no, it's completely different.
Dude, that's kind of crazy, because I used to go to that Kmart a lot. It's funny because you really don't see Kmart's around that much, but I was in New Zealand, and like they crack over there. Like they're super cracking. It's weird. Like the same brand, but I don't know. It's obvious. I don't think it's like same owners or whatever, but it's just kind of weird seeing that brand, and like they'll have 24-hour Kmart's, and it's packed. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. So and obviously all the stuff in there is different, because it's like, you're in a different country too, but it's just like, I had my Kmart memories come when I was in there though. I was just like, this is so weird because it's Kmart, but it's not. And it's, yeah. So, yeah, man. Okay. So then, you went on to PLU. How was PLU?
PLU was dope. I mean, it was definitely different than growing up with us. Like there's so much diversity in our school and people doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it was at least junior year on, I feel like it was easier to fit in. And then PLU, I walked in, I ain't gonna lie. I went in being like, oh, everybody gonna hate me. I'm gonna be the black dude, all this kind of stuff. My roommate ended up being super dope, but I mean, it was a struggle
Oh,
at first. I think there
yeah.
was only like two black dudes that lived on campus at first.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I went through my stuff at the parties and everything. I think the hardest thing at PLU is that I didn't really branch out from my small circle very much. So pretty much it was like all the homies from high school would come up there and kick it with me and everything.
Feel that.
So I mean, but it was dope. The cool thing is like it helped me learn how to navigate the world, and then also like with the small class sizes, like it was just dope because I got people to pour into me and give me different opportunities. So even though the social part of it was kind of rough, I wouldn't change it for nothing.
Nice. Yeah. I probably had the very similar time when I was at UW. I felt a lot of those same things where it was like, man, those first years, I only kicked it with people from high school, and just like it was mostly white people in almost all of my classes. So it just felt it was definitely a culture shock. And so I didn't realize PLU was kind of like that, but now it kind of makes sense to hear that is kind of interesting. What kind of things were you up to after PLU?
When I graduated, so during PLU, it's crazy, man, like how things come full circle. But at PLU, I worked at Spanaway Elementary for 4 years in college. So I was a playground duty and a paraeducator. And I did an internship. And then that summer, that was my junior year of college. And then that summer, they said, you graduate, you got a guaranteed job.
Nice.
Like I'm real big on like calling people and businesses on their stuff. So while I was at the elementary school, like the playground was falling apart and all this kind of stuff, and kids were fighting. So I was like, hey, man, y'all say y'all the good. I wrote a little grant thing. They came and rebuilt the playground. And so with that,
that's dope.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, y'all can pour into my community. I'll go work there. So I worked there for 12 years.
Nice.
Yeah, which was super cool, man. Like that got me out of Spanaway. Like that's the first time I started traveling. And my wife ended up with Monica. Like we've been together since things to get out to different places. And I was like, man, the world is bigger than Spanaway.
What were some of the favorite places? Do you have any like trips that stood out where you're just like, whoa, this is way different from Spanaway? Or
man, Hawaii, the first time I went to Hawaii, like I never thought I'd be going to Hawaii for anything, but I just remember standing out on the beach, and I can't even remember what island we were on, but there was like a volcano. There was a volcano tip in the water, and I was just like, man, the world is bigger. I got to work harder trying to make some more money to be able to do this stuff. But yeah, I just remember sitting there and I was like, man, I want my brothers, I want my family, I want everybody to be able to experience this kind of stuff. And then we went to Mexico, to some resort. That was super dope. And then I worked in Orange County. So I would live here in Spanaway for a week and then down in Orange County for a week at the end of my career working.
Yeah.
Orange County was different, man. Everybody in expensive cars, custom cufflinks.
Whoa.
I was used to, but it was a cool learning experience.
Yeah. Dang. How was that? How was that commute? Like, dang. So you would stay in like a hotel?
Yeah. It was rough, man. It was a rough time in my life, first of all. And then secondly, it was like my boys were young, so it was hard. It always felt like you were just trying to catch up, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm here trying to like, oh, what happened the week I was gone? But then I'm also getting prepared to leave and go teach some agents down there and stuff, So I didn't enjoy it the way I should have. I was like 5 minutes from the beach, but I never really left the hotel.
Yeah, I mean, because your mind was in constant state of grind, right? And so that is kind of crazy. How long did you do that for? That's a crazy commute.
Yeah, I think I was doing that for like maybe a year and a half.
You went more than a year doing that? Man, I give you mad props because I see a lot of people not doing that for more than a year because that sounds like a crazy grind. One of the other things that, I know a lot of people know you for is to like making music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, talk about like, how did you start getting into that? And, during that time period and stuff, were you always doing this when you were younger too? Is it?
Honestly, man, like we always like with freestyle and stuff at the stoop. I wasn't ever really like good at it or nothing like that. And then we freestyle at parties. Honestly, what really got me into writing more was one of our teachers, Miss Oliver Moore. I don't know if you ever had her at Spanaway Lake.
I didn't, but I knew who she was. Yeah.
Okay. So she was my English teacher, and then my pops got sick our junior year, and then he ended up passing away our senior year of high school. But she just worked with me like every day. She made me write this poem. She made me be in the Afro pageant that year. And like that poem was like kind of my therapy through it. And then I just kept writing. And then in my 20s, me and my brother did an album. And then we kind of broke off from that. And then I just was talking to my boys. So John Tucker, JT, he was part of it. And I was just like, hey, man, what y'all want to do? They wanted to do shows. I knew business. So we just started going to dive bars, getting them to pay us, doing shows, writing, recording, and it took off a little bit. I ain't gonna say we was famous or nothing like that. I wasn't one of them dudes. I was still just giving out free CDs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was, man, it was a fun time, but it was crazy at the same time. That's a crazy world.
Yeah. When you say it's a crazy world, what makes it so crazy? Are like people like scandalous like that? Yeah. What kind of makes that crazy?
It is super shady. Like everybody. When once money gets involved, in the beginning when nobody was making money, it was whatever. But then once we started making money, it's like everybody wants to get on, everybody wants a piece of it, and then it's just jealousy, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I just don't move like that. I'm like, everybody can win, everybody can eat. It doesn't have one person or the other. But there's a lot of that. And then I ain't gonna lie, man, it was crazy. It's like getting shot at and stuff like that after a show. And I'm like, I started off, I just want to be positive and show people that you can do without cussing, without all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And then money came in. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, hey, whatever's making us money, gonna make us money. And then it was just a crazy lifestyle. So it's like you go from that to in the morning, this is Darius, how can I help you? You know what I mean?
How can I help you? I just got shot last night, but hey, I'm here for you. Today it's like, dude, whenever you're in danger like that, or, you know, when there's stuff like that, okay, that is crazy, because nobody wants to be around that, you know? And so it's, you know, like, but yeah, that's why I give mad props to, like, man, people that go for it though. It's, you know, are you doing any music at all? Like even writing maybe? No, nothing.
Nah, man. 45, man. I ain't gonna be out there slanging no mixtapes.
I just seen this TikTok today where it was like in Atlanta, and there's like this 60-year-old rapping on stage, and he looks 60. Dude, maybe I'll try to put the video up or something, because it was just too hilarious. But I was like, man, he looks like he's having a good time, and you know, he's like, so I feel like, man, there's like, you just do what you want to do sometimes, you know, and if that's your calling, right? If music's like your thing and that really makes you happy, it's kind of also like this show too. Like, man, I like chopping it up with people, all the reasons why you want to make music, right? You want to be positive, right? And have that good energy, have people excited and all that type of stuff. And so, and then, try to man, I'd love to try to put everybody on, like, and honestly, I would love everybody to start a YouTube channel. I'm like kind of passionate about that right now. So almost like everybody I talk to, I'm like, yeah, everybody should start one. I think it's just it's a more in-depth way to kind of get to know people versus just the regular like Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So, do you remember the first time you got email?
AOL back in the day.
Was it pre-PL?
I think so. I think like our.
Oh, you're OG then. You're super OG.
We had a super ghetto computer.
Everybody did though. I mean, everybody had super ghetto internet though too. If you pre-graduation, it was like, I maybe had been online maybe twice, you know, like, or something, you know, like that. And I think my computer was super slow too. But if you had an email before graduating, then you're super OG. Like, you're super OG, because you obviously got one, because I think we all got one when we got to college, right? So then that freshman year, because did you go straight to PLU right after Spanaway, like after we graduated?
Yeah, man, I started at PLU 2 weeks after graduation.
Oh, dang. You went to like summer? Oh, dang.
Out 2 weeks after, moved into the dorm, never came back home, just kept grinding, summer school every year. Yeah, I was tripping.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody has their own like different experiences and stuff, but like, I definitely did not work. I kind of wish I worked harder back then, because it like took me 10 years to finally graduate. So, that's, you know, no, that's a good thing, man. That's dope. That's dope. What about, what was like your first, social media?
MySpace, but it was surreal for the music. Like, I did not want to be on social media at all. And then MySpace, and it was just a marketing tool for our music.
Mm-hmm.
So we started up there, putting stuff on there. Didn't really do anything. I didn't really get MySpace. It kind of sucked.
Yeah. No, for real. It's so you were at PLU too when like asking this random question. So where were you at 9/11?
Yeah, I was at well, I got married my sophomore year of college.
Okay.
So we had a little we were in a duplex. Yeah, we were in a duplex. I remember being in the bed, watching it on TV, calling my mom.
Yeah. And just being kind of shocked, right?
Yep.
And then, yeah, that was just a kind of crazy time. And then that earthquake that happened that same year, earlier that year, were you in that same duplex?
Yep.
It would have been, yeah.
Working at the elementary school. Yeah, was that then? I don't know. There was an earthquake. I was working at elementary school because I was sitting next to a kid and I looked out in the field and kind of saw the ground rolling.
Yeah.
And at first, I'm shaking the table. Then I was like, oh, Lord, that ain't even you.
Yeah, I think that would have been that time period too, because that was that same year. For us Washington people, man, that was kind of a crazy time to be in the state, where we had an earthquake that early in the year, and then later on that 9/11 stuff happened. So it was just kind of crazy. And then so like so like back in high school, who were you kicking it with? You mentioned Simba, and like who were some of your like closer people that you were like hanging out with and stuff?
The main two people was Sean Smith and then Terrence Tucker. Yeah, and then John Tucker, he was a year older than us.
Yep.
So we kicked it just because we lived next door to each other and stuff. But yeah, me, Terrence, and Sean, like that was my squad for the most part.
That's tight. Man, do you still keep in contact with those guys?
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Sean was up here. I think that was probably like 5 years ago or something, but that was like the first time. Really, I keep up with most people on social media.
Yeah.
You know, that's about it.
No, I get that. And then that's also kind of why I like doing these too, because it's like you can kind of get deeper, and because I'd love to talk to both of those guys too. So that's why it's like I love when people bring up some older names and stuff. And so, yeah, man. And then, so now because I know you have a son, right, that plays that hoops. Yeah, like how many kids do you have?
I have two boys. So I have a 16-year-old. He's about to be 17, and I have a 12-year-old. So my 12-year-old goes to Spanaway Middle. I take a lot of pride in that. And my boy just had different stuff.
Nice. And then, because somebody was telling me, I think it was James was telling me that, like, man, your son's really good at, he's probably one of the better players on the team and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, that's dope, man. So your youngest is going into which grade?
He's in 7th grade right now.
Okay,
so
he's in 7th, going into 8th. Okay.
Yeah, he's my actor. Like it's pretty dope. He signed a contract. He does the voiceovers for Rodney Raccoon, the cartoon character that does like safety and stuff like that. So he does that. He's in like the acting theater, baseball, all that kind of stuff. And then my oldest, the only thing he wants to do is hoop. But he had a solid season. Been first team the last 2 years. Think he was runner up for league MVP. Think he was the highest scorer in Spanaway in like the last 15 years.
Wow.
So, we're sorry, man. Both of my boys are solid.
Yeah. Man, so hold up. How did now I'm super curious about that. How did your youngest get into that? How did he voiceover? How did he get into that?
Oh, Devin, like his personality, like he just has a whole bunch of energy, always been super creative and like just using his imagination since he was young. And so he wants to be an actor when he gets older, right? So he's been in a couple plays. We took him to LA, got him some acting coaching and stuff like that. And then actually when I started doing music, the owner of that record label, he kind of branched away from music and started doing this children's character and community service type stuff. And so then he was looking for a voice for Rodney Raccoon.
What are the odds?
Yeah, my boy.
That worked out like.
Got hurt. So, yep.
So like how old was he when he knew, or you guys knew, that he really wanted to do more like acting and stuff like that?
I think 5 years ago is when he really started talking about it. But when going back to when he was little, like I had 2 boys and the first one was all about sports. So I thought for sure the second one's going to be all about sports and we'd be doing the same thing. And he was like, nah, that ain't me. And he honestly, he reminds me so much of me in like elementary and junior high, where it's like I was always writing stories and pretending I was a pro wrestler and stuff like that. And so I'd watch him. And I'm like, man, this kid just has a dope imagination. He's in there. I'm very business minded. So I was always like, hey, Devin, you need to be writing some scripts, man. Tell me your ideas. Let's write down some scripts that we can try to sell to people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just his imagination and how he'd walk around the house and teach himself how to do stuff. And he's big into YouTube. And so he would seriously go on there and then try to start his own YouTube channels. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, this kid he's an entertainer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, dang, you could probably teach me some stuff about YouTube too, because I'm just so new to it. That's one thing I wish I knew, knew something I was 1,000% passionate about. There's like, me, it was the other way. There was like a million things that I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, but nothing where you're like that focus. It sounds like he has. I couldn't imagine being a seventh grader and then going to work and doing stuff like that. That was crazy how the music guy that you used to work for transitioned at the same time. Like, man, sometimes it's weird how like things kind of work out like that. So I'm still kind of blown away.
Yeah. I think everything comes full circle in another.
And your oldest is going into what year is he going into? He'll be a senior. So he's junior. Okay. Going into his senior year. Does he have like a trainer that's training him too? Like, I know that's like such a thing these days where football players, basketball, all athletes are kind of going like and having these trainers on the side that they're working with and stuff like that. Does he do all that good stuff too?
Yeah, he does. Like, I'm real big and like just trying to be intentional with my boys. And so it's like, whatever you want to do, like, I'm not going to push them to do anything. Whatever they choose, once they say this is what it is, then I'm like, cool, well, you got to learn how to work. So it's going to be 110 on everything. And so like me and Junior have like lived in the gym since he was 5 years old, but he's been dribbling a ball around since he was 3. I thought he was going to play football. Like, I wanted a little Russell Wilson. And then he went to go to a football game and saw somebody get lit up, and he was like, nah, man.
Nah.
So yeah, it's mostly been me training them. But then what's dope, man, is like there's so many people out here in our community that just really try to help my boys just be good human beings. Above anything else, be good human beings, and people will pour back into you. And so he just has a solid community of people. Around 8th grade, I stopped coaching them, and he just got people that would come in and train them and work with them and things like that. And he lives in the gym now. But what's dope now is like he'll train his teammates. Like, he'll take them out there.
Whoa.
And when you're working with your dad, it's hard. I'm like, man, why don't you want to listen? Why aren't you hearing this? And then now I just sit back and watch him talk to other people, and he's saying the same stuff I would say to him. I'm like, okay, all right, you were paying attention. Yeah, so he's done AAU. I'm trying to get him to slow down a little bit, because since he, like, I think around 7, he's typically played year-round basketball.
Whoa. Since he was 7?
Yeah. And I've always had him.
He really loves hoop then.
He loves it. Like, it's rough. When I make him sit down, that's when he gets the most frustrated. But I'm trying to just teach him balance. Like, I'm really big in basketball, acting, whatever. It's something you do, but it ain't who you are. You got to figure out who you are as a person and use all the stuff you're doing to hopefully give a message to somebody or do something positive. But yeah, I mean, if he could be in the gym every day, all day, that's what he'd be doing.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's dope, man. I'm so, it's good to hear that. Like, man, your kids are just doing some crazy things, like legit crazy things. That's so dope. You brought up earlier too, just the, like, back when we were in high school, our senior year too, about the Afro pageant, right? Do you have any videos from that?
No, I had it on VHS and the tape got years ago, so I got like little small clips. But yeah, it sucked.
Yeah. Because you won that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's why it's like, did you say somebody like made you do it, or did you, like, how did that whole event come about?
It was Miss Oliver Moore, and it was seriously just because I was one day and my pops was sick, and like, looking back now, like they had originally gave him 3 months to live. He ended up surviving for 17 months, but like going through it, trying to hold it down and everything. So I tried my hardest not to show it at home, but I go to school. And I think one day she just saw me like checked out and called me out on it and was like, why aren't you paying attention? And then Terrence told her that my pops was sick or whatever. And then she was like, you're going to be in this pageant and you're going to write about what you're going through and all that. Cause like you had to like model a tuxedo, do community service, give some speeches, all that stuff. I was like, cool, that's easy. And then you had to have a talent. And I was like, man, I ain't got no talent. And then she was like, you're going to write. And that's what we did. And she, every day after school, she made me come to her classroom and we rehearsed until I memorized it and got my voice fluctuations right and everything. So she pushed me to do it. So it was dope.
That is dope. Oh, man. And does anybody have a video of that pageant at all? Because, man, that would be dope to have.
It's a great question. We should try to find somebody.
Yeah, we should try to find somebody, because that would be amazing to watch. Like, basically all the videos from back then, I would love to just sit down and watch almost everything from that era from our school, like all the pageants, because were you in the talent show too that year too?
Yep.
Okay.
That made me remember, man. They're gonna be mad at me too. They're gonna be mad at me. But yeah. So you asked me who I kicked it with. It was Corey Jones, Corey Alexander too. I hope y'all don't hate me if y'all watch this, man. Complex stuff, shout out, whatever. My bad, man. My bad. I'm old. But yeah, the talent show. It was us in the talent show. It was me, Terrence, Corey Jones, Corey Alexander.
That's what's up.
We got the trophy because we actually came in second because I don't know, it was J.R. Parks and somebody else because both of us rapped. But they told us, like, you can't take off your shirts or anything like that. And they did. The girls went crazy. They voted for them to win. Then they were like, nah, they broke the rules, so y'all gonna get the trophy. So, and I still got it. I still got it in the garage.
Oh, that's tight. Yes, because both of those videos, I would love, like, you don't know how bad that would be amazing to watch right now. Both the Afro pageant and the and that talent show. Oh man, because
I do have our performance from it. I got that on my phone because I remember I screen recorded it off the VHS. Yeah, I have to send that to you.
Man, when was this? When did you screen record it?
It had to be over like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was trying to show my son, so I was recording it off of there. Thank God I did.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Is that on your computer?
Nah, it's on my phone. I gotta go through and find it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, man, I should have that would be kind of cool to show if you kind of even the it's obviously not the best copy because right, it's not only is it VHS, it's like recorded 10 years ago, screen record on a VHS, but it's still like I think it would be hilarious to see that because so did you guys all rap in that one?
Yeah, yep.
Man, I would love to see that. That's hilarious. I wonder when the last time those guys have watched that performance too. I don't know if you showed any of them since graduating at all.
Only in college, like whenever we went to parties, if you came to my dorm room, one of the first things you had to do was watch the talent show.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, if y'all gonna kick it with us, you got to watch the talent show. It was like the running joke.
Hell yeah. That I'm gonna share my screen.
Minute.
Perfect.
It's horrible. I promise we got way better at performing than what's on here.
Okay, we found the video. We found a video of. You tell us what this is, Darius.
Man, look, 1998, 97, 98 talent show, Complex Styles, Corey Alexander, Corey Jones, Darius Alexander, Terrence Tucker holding it down, got the background dancers. Here we go.
Because dude, that even with the screen recording on the TV, that's still pretty dope to have that. And don't lose that. Well, actually, it's going to be on YouTube now, so people can just fast forward to this minute in time to watch Corey Jones, Corey Alexander, Darius, and Terrence. Break it down. What was your guys' name, and where'd you get that name from again?
Complex Styles, and we started some car club, something. I don't even know where it originated from. We all had stickers on our car saying Complex Styles.
Love it. And then who were the background dancers, by the way, I saw in there?
It's Joni, Sam. I can't remember everybody else's name. But all that was impromptu. It's like, I don't even think we knew coming out there. I think we went out there and they just came out.
They were like, hey, we want to be on stage. So no, that's because I could see people doing that. That's such a dope video. I'm so glad that we got to look at that. And people are going to be saying some things, I'm pretty sure, after watching that. That's why I wish we had the entire talent show video, because that would be a fun video to kind of break down a good talent show from the 90s. Hilarious. Who else do you like see, or maybe even talk to, chat with, maybe keep in contact with, send messages with from back in the day?
Honestly, man, I say there's so many people, but it's on social. It's really on Facebook, and it's really just
Gotcha.
like the comments on stuff. Sucks though, because my Facebook got hacked and then shut down, and then I started another one, then that one got shut down. So I just started up a new one.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You don't
Okay.
notice it.
Because
It's
I've
like one.
tried to message you a few times and it's just like, and I'm so confused because it's like, I have like an old message from like 7 years ago. And then when I try to click on it, it just leads to nowhere. And so then that's when I was just like, I got to get hold of this dude somehow. And so I finally, tracked down your number. But okay, that makes sense because I've been like, I'm like, man, I don't understand what's going on with your Facebook. So, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I got a new one. I figured out the hard way that if you request friends too fast, then they shut you down again because they think you got hacked.
That's right. Yes, they
You
do
send out
that.
like 2 friend requests a day. So it's under Darius Letraun now.
For sure, for sure. But you can't do it all at once.
Yeah, nah, don't do that. Yeah, honestly, like me and JT, we talk probably like 3 or 4 times a week, but from high school,
Nice.
that's really
Yep.
the one person. But yeah,
So
he's been like my brother. Like even through all the music and stuff, it was me and him that really started it, and like that was my right hand dude on everything that we did. And so it's dope because like when we were bad, we were super good at being bad together, and then now it's like now we
that's
try to push
good.
it to positive stuff.
Yeah, no, no, for real. That's good. So like back in high school, like you would go to school and then like what would an average day look like when you would like maybe come home after school or something like that?
It worked, man. Like I had 4 jobs throughout junior and senior year, and so
What? Oh, dang. Wait, okay,
like
let's
when I
go back.
started,
What was your very, very first job? And then bring us to the four jobs you had in high school. Oh my God. Yeah, that's
first
crazy.
official, like my pops didn't play, man. Like he was a first sergeant, and he was all about you got to go make your own way. So I started like cutting grass and working to get paid when I was like 7 years old. But then my first official job was at the commissary when I was 14. So bagging groceries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Like once I got that job, like I'm thinking I'm just pocketing my money, trying to get clothes, and then we went school shopping, and my dad would normally give me and my brother $100, which don't seem like a lot. And I went to go get my 100, and he was
Dude, that was hella back then. What you talking about? It's kind of, it's cool today, but that's hella back then. So yeah, no,
yeah, yeah. So he pulled that from me and was like, "Nah, you got a job now. You're on your own." And so I was like, "Okay, I got to make some more bread then." So it was commissary. I worked at
commissary Fort Lewis.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah, yep.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
We did the majority of my family shopping was at that commissary on Fort Lewis. That
Yeah.
was like more than any other Safeway, any of the other ones. That's where like we did like almost everything.
It was definitely cheaper, but I think all of us Army kids, like, we didn't do no, like, if you went to Safeway, that's only because we were too lazy to go on base. Like, that was a
Yes,
commodity.
exactly. Exactly. Well, when you
Yep.
would go to base, would you guys go like how it it's kind of a random question. Like which way would you go? Because there's like kind of two ways that you could have went to base. So I'm just like curious. Would you?
That back road, so when you go off of military and then you take that left and go around
Yes.
that corner, like through, out by Tillicum and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go that way.
See, and I didn't know about that one until later. Like we would kind of go around and like, yeah, it was kind of crazy because it's funny that you say it's like going on base is kind of a trek. It's like, yeah, Safeway is 10 times closer. So that's why we would go to Safeway because it was way closer than trying to go all the way on base. But okay, no, damn, 14 too, man. You're just, yeah, damn, that's tight. Okay, so then you did that.
I worked at Spanaway Drug, which used to be over by Kmart. Me
Okay,
and my brother. It was a little pharmacy thing, man. Nobody ever
yeah,
came there. I go in there. They gave me a little skirt kind of shirt thing. I clean the shelves, do all that stuff. Had a paper route in the morning. Worked at Red Lobster. Where else did I work? Worked at the Tuck Shop in Puyallup.
yeah,
So a lot of people got they got hooked up on prom and homecoming and stuff. You know what I mean? That
yeah.
few hustles going on.
Dude, you did all that in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
remember too. It's like, first of all, I had to make money on my own, and I wanted to make sure I was doing that. But also, man, like my pops was sick. It was rough. It was rough at home
yeah,
sometimes. My family, but it was rough. And like looking back now, it was I was running. You know what I mean? I was trying to run
yeah,
away from and just stay busy and keep
yeah.
myself.
Trying to keep your mind off of, everything, right? So,
Yeah.
That's great. So man, your dad was a first sergeant. So he was in the, so obviously, he's in the military. So where were you born?
Florence, South Carolina.
Okay. And then that's where you guys moved from when you came to Spanaway. Or
No,
no?
the last place I remember is we were in Germany. We were in Germany.
Okay.
And I think we moved to Washington when I was 5 because we lived in Olympia for a while. And then down here when I was 7.
Do you remember? I was born in Germany. I have zero memories from there. Do you have any Germany memories at
Yeah,
all?
we lived in, I don't know. I know we lived in military housing and there was like these steep hills in the back. And so whenever it would snow, like we get the trash bags and go down them hills. That's the only thing I remember, but it was dope. I've never found hills like that again.
Do you remember the town?
We live in West.
Oh, Wurzburg. Yeah. Okay. That's so funny. So many had didn't even realize how many of us were all like military kids, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, and then we all have like connections with Germany. It's like kind of in everybody's past and stuff. Yeah. And then, man, I didn't realize, I'm still tripping that you worked a ton like back then. It's funny because man, you just don't realize like what people are going through, you know what I mean? And so like to kind of like hear you, man, battle through all of that during that time, that's just like gangster of you, man. Yeah, if you could have somebody that you wish you could reconnect with from back in the day, who would that like, or a group of people that you would like to reconnect with? Like, does any particular person or group of people come to mind at all?
Honestly, everybody, man. It's like I think like I would always look at y'all squad, like you, Jay Nalder, like y'all whole crew. It's like we all were together, but not all the way together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's like I look at stuff like that and I would have branched out more from just the small circle that I was kicking it with.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like you guys were very into sports and stuff like that. I was very into like I just wanted to party, kick it, and make money. In all honesty,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I wish honestly just going back to that year, even though I feel like that was probably junior and senior year was the most outgoing parts of my life. I wish I would have just branched out more and like hung out more outside of school with everybody, every group of people, you know.
Yeah. But damn, it was hard for you because man, you were working all the time. So that's kind of like it's man, I don't know. Because I think the one cool thing about sports is like, you're kind of you're hanging out with your friends and then like, you all kind of leave at the same time. And, I was fortunate, like I didn't have to work when I was in high school. So I had like kind of extra free time to, still hang out more. But it's like, it's funny because like when you get your first jobs, when you're actually like started working is then you realize like, man, like now your time is, now you have to kind of like split up your time with all these other like different things that you need to do and stuff. When you look back at kind of growing up, you mentioned Miss Oliver Moore. Do you think she probably had the biggest impact for you, or like, do you have any other favorite teachers besides her or anybody else that impacted you while you were at Spanaway?
There's a whole bunch. Mr. Wright was big.
Yeah.
Kind of like he let me be myself. I think that was a big part of it. He let me be myself, and it was all right to joke around. And I use that. I kind of carry that in my career now. Is I just try to be. I'm a human being. You know what I mean? Like when I go work with kids, I'm like, yeah, I might be older, man, but I'm gonna talk to you like you're grown until you give me a reason to do otherwise. Miss, I can't remember her last name, but Miss Bonnie, she was our vice principal or principal back then. She had red hair.
Yep. Yeah. What you call it?
Meyer.
Kenningson?
Yeah, Kenningson. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of cool people, man. It's like honestly,
yeah. I think her daughter actually listens to the show. So shout out to Shayna. Yeah, no, she was dope. It's because it was so random. My freshman year at UW, her son was in our dorms with me and Nalder, and like, so it was like such a small world too. It was just like what the, and then so yeah, we got to be in contact with her that year, like see them randomly and stuff. So yeah. Sorry, yeah. Any others too?
I just keep like names keep popping in my head now. So like staff wise, I was in the Upper Bound program, so I don't know if you know these teachers, but there's Mr. Kelly and then a guy named Duke Paulson, which is pretty dope. Like they're still in my life now. Like they were at my wedding. They've been there when my kids were born. I still meet up with Duke on a regular basis, and he was the director of the program I was in. So that's been super dope. But then just like people our age, I could think about like Ezra King.
Yeah.
Now that was my guy. He lived on the street beside me. I know he's doing big things in the military. There's just a whole bunch of people, man. I feel bad because like I'm sitting here being like, man, I should have wrote down all the names of people I want to show respect to. But anybody listen to it, just know I love everybody. All y'all had an impact in my life. Appreciate you.
Yeah, don't, yeah, I mean, and yeah, I mean, my thing is always too, it's like, dude, I think ultimately I'd like to get all those people that you kind of mentioned too, like on the show, and just, I just feel like there's always gonna, sometimes you're just gonna forget a name or two there. So that's why it's like, man, it's all good. It's like, plus I'm asking questions from like 30 years ago. So it's like, who did you hang out with junior year, third period? It's like, dude, you're not going to remember every single, name or anything. Do you have any like memorable stories with any of the like, from growing up, elementary, junior high, high school, any of that stuff? Even PLU, like, do you have any memories that kind of stand out in general?
Man, I have a whole bunch, but I'm also trying to make sure I don't get fired when people look
Yes,
these up.
yes. No, we want you to keep your job 1,000%. So yes.
Yeah. Man, it's like it's funny. It's funny as hell to me when I tell it, but when I tell it at schools, I'm like, man, it sounds horrible. But I remember on my 13th birthday at Spanaway Junior High, the day started off, and like at that time, I was just like, man, I just want to kick it with the popular kids. I don't really fit in. I don't cuss. I don't do nothing like that. You know what I mean? And I remember first period, ran down the hallway, and he lit me up like full on linebacker tackle. I hit the wall. It was birthday beat down all day long. Like it was crazy. Like the whole story is just nuts when I think about it. Like I got thrown in the bushes off the bus, getting stomped out. Looked up, one of the girls I liked was stomping me out too. It's like back, and I remember getting home and my mom's just crying, and she's like, "We're going up to the school," and I was like, "No, Mom, these are my friends. They like me now."
It's so, man, it's so crazy that's like, man, that's how we couldn't, the way that we showed love is by committing brutal acts of violence against you, and so it's like, but, and like, the last thing you want to do is have your parents come up in there. It's like, no, yeah, that's
Yeah,
such a funny
no.
thing to say.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's when it stands out the most. It changed my life in a whole bunch of different ways. It was like, honestly, I felt like it was the first time I was kind of accepted and included
Yes,
in something that everybody did. You know what I mean? But
yes,
now now that I'm an adult working with kids that go through some of that kind of stuff, it's like I'm just able to use that story a little bit and be like, yeah, stand your ground, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Enjoy those kind of things, but stand your ground, leverage all the parts of your life. You know what I mean? Because it's all going to make you who you are later on.
yeah, yeah. That is, that is an interesting one to tell people too. You know what I
And
mean? Like,
it was nuts.
was what, eighth grade?
Yep, 13. Yeah, eighth grade. Yep.
Eighth grade. Yeah. Dude, that's, man. Any other story? Any from high school at all that kind of ring a bell, or that you can share with us that?
I'll try not to be too serious on stuff, but I think the dopest ones, man, is like I told you, me and Monica been together since I was 16, and like life is life. You know what I mean? Like it's hard growing up with somebody, but then looking back
Yeah.
on them times, like it's cool now reflecting on stuff because you can't appreciate it in the moment, but being like, man, somebody sees you for who you are, and she kind of held her ground on who she was. So I just remember like a lot of when I'm going through it and feeling like I'm carrying the world on my shoulders to everything that's going on at home and work and all that kind of stuff. It was like she was a real friend during that time and would like push me to be better and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
I suck at math. I suck at science. And one of the things I tell kids all the time is like, you got to get teachers and people to love you because there's chemistry with Mr. Kennedy. And I sit by Monica, and every time we had a test, he'd be like, man, go ahead and sit by Monica. You know what it is? I'm like, thanks, appreciate you.
What? He said that?
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
he knew I was working late, so I'll be like, man, I'm about to take a nap.
Yeah, that's dope. That's, man, I never had Mr. Kennedy, so it's good to, I like hearing so many people talk great things about like some of these teachers that I never had. So that's dope that you have like that memory with them and stuff. So, and then what about at PLU? Any stories from there that come up at all? It
And
doesn't even have to involve anybody that we know or anything. Just maybe like something that like happened there at PLU.
yeah, I can't even remember. I think the best things I remember is because I only kicked it with people from Spanaway Lake. Really, going in
Yeah.
the park, I mean, like, I stood out. the group of black people walk in, we kind of stand out, but was always so dope because I'm naturally shy and introverted. So it's seriously like once the hip hop started playing, I'd be like, give me the mic. And then we start rapping, and then we're the life of the party. But that was like every place we went. That's how we learned how to fit in and get people and stuff like that. Yep. Yeah. And then my best friend that I met from college, he's like a brother. I'm his daughter's goddad and everything. When I first met him, it was like, I can't lie, when I was like, they gonna hate me because I'm black. They hugged me, became part of the family, all that kind of stuff. And I remember he had like a 67 Nova or something like that. I don't know if I'm right on the year, but then he also had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and he asked me to drive it up to his house. And I remember calling Monica and being like, hey, I'm driving a new Jeep, and they don't even think I'm gonna steal it. It just stood out to me. Loving and accepted they were, you know what I mean? But it was, me and him had 20 stories.
All good. Where's he from? Is he from the area?
Yeah, he's from Spokane.
Is that when you got into your...
No, honestly, man, like I said, like life hit. Like life was rough. You know, I was going through it. It was real bad. And then my oldest boy was 5 at the time. And I for real came home one day and was just like, hey, man, how would you feel if I couldn't buy all the stuff, but I got to help people? And he was playing his video game. He's like, Dad, which one's more important? And I was like, all right. Put in my 2 weeks notice, left, started working for a nonprofit, working with kids. Through that, man, lost everything, lost our house, lost everything. You know what I mean? Went from real good money to no money at all working for a nonprofit. And so I did that for 6 years, and then ended up getting hired as an equity specialist. And so that changed my life. So I did that for 4 years. And so it's crazy, man. It's full circle. It's full circle from trying to climb the corporate ladder and chasing money to realizing like life has to be about something bigger, to a 5-year-old telling me to quit my job pretty much, and then losing everything, and then now being in a position where I get to help make decisions for the community. You know what I mean?
That's so like, crazy.
That's dope.
Giving it all up. Like, what was the like spark that like even made you think about doing something like that?
It's the lack of purpose behind it. You know what I mean? Like I've always been about helping people, like trying my best to help people. And I ain't perfect. I'm not trying to claim like I'm no saint or nothing like that. But it was just once I started going back and forth from Cali to here and stuff like that, it was like it was lonely. It was a dark time in my life. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna go into all that, but it was just super dark. And I was just like, man, I'm just on a wheel every day. I get up, go to work, pay bills, get up, go to work, pay bills, try to fit in with my family, try to figure out who I am and all that kind of stuff, you know? And do
you think that travel schedule and like that hardship of, man, that's like crazy to say, like, man, you feel lonely doing that, living that lifestyle, right? How much of that was that part of it too? Do you think if you had like a regular 9 to 5 where you didn't have to go all the way to Cali every other week, do you think if you might have stayed in that industry even longer, and that maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think it's a big part of it was like, so when my pops was sick, like the day before he came for surgery, like me and him just talked all night long. And it was like, we kind of talked about my goals, which was get married, buy a house, graduate from college, get a good career. And by the time I was 22, I'd already killed all that. You know what I mean? And so it was like being on this cycle of like, what's next? I don't even know in the world I'm chasing. I've already killed every goal that we talked about. So what's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on that wheel of like chasing titles and chasing more money, but it didn't mean anything to me. And so I think either way it would have went, I would have ended up leaving. Like honestly, for real, that saved my life, because that's how dark it was for me. And I just remember working with some kids one day and telling them like, your yesterday doesn't have to define your tomorrow and all that, and then leaving. I'm depressed and ready to give up. I got to get my stuff together. You know what I mean? So it for real saved my life and gave me a focus and a purpose. And when I say my life revolves around my sons first and foremost, and then helping young people, that's really what it is. I owe everything to the kids. You know what I mean?
That's man, that hits. That's amazing to hear. Because it's like, I think a lot of people get lost, like just chasing goals and having different things. I think there's a separation between like goals, but purpose. So it feels like you've kind of found a purpose now that is beyond just even getting a paycheck or whatever, right? So now, how do you, now that you're older, you're kind of like you have that purpose. What does that look like when it, moving forward? Is there, because, you know, like you killed so many of the goals that you and your dad set, you know, by the age of 22. It's like, and then that question that a lot of people have is like, okay, when you reach certain things, what's next? Like, so how do you find your, like, what's next, you know?
Yeah, I'm always goal driven, but I honestly focus it more on like how many people can you help from what you're doing, you know what I mean? So I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's like everybody loves money and everything, but I really like, I was talking to JT the other night and I was like, I love where I'm at now. It's a blessing. Like when you lose everything and you qualify for homeless services to where now you got choices and can do things, like I don't take that lightly at all. It is a blessing. Don't know how I in that way. But I use that to say like, I want to be in a position where if I see you and I'm like, hey, Heinz, man, I just want to give you 10 racks today just because you're a good dude. I want to be able to do those kind of things. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want somebody on the street and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put you up in an apartment for the month until you figure it out. So that's what I really try to set my goals on of, I want to get to the next level, but I don't ever want to be in a position where it's only about working and I'm just on that cycle again. Like I'm terrified of being on that cycle of just wake up, work, pay bills, wake up, work, pay bills. It's like everything is intentional of what I try to do. And then the bigger part of it too is I involve my boys in everything I do. And sometimes I get mess from other people for it, but if I'm going to do a speaking engagement, my boys are there. If I put on an event for kids, my boys are there because I want them to see how the grind and working in purpose can also give you the lifestyle that you want. You know what I mean?
1,000%. No, man, this is really good because I always think like, man, how can I help people? Man, you're really like actually doing it. So that's why, like, man, I commend you for all the work that you do, not just for your kids, but just like, you know, you can really feel that you have a heart for it. So you were talking about next level. What does next level like look like for you? Like,
You don't know what the next step is. I actually just met a little while ago and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be stagnant. But I honestly don't know what the next step is. And again, I don't want to get too far removed, being able to have those real conversations. And now it's more like I have to find that time. It makes it hard to stay connected on that personal level. So the higher you
yes,
climb, the more disconnected you get from that. And so
that's so weird how that works. People work their way up and do things like that. But it's when you're doing things that you love, you know, helping, how do people balance that? How do like, you know, how do you stay like getting your reps in? Because I feel like that's also a thing that you need to continuously do to stay good at, right? Relate to kids and right. Like, what does that look like? Like, I don't know.
luckily, my family is super supportive. And one of the reasons we bought the house that I grew up in is like our goal was like to make sure that our doors were always open and that we had space in a yard and stuff like that. So it's seriously like I coach. So I coach and I train a lot for hoops. And so that keeps me super connected. And luckily, like my family's super supportive of knowing that I'm always going to be trying to help some kids some kind of way. So that helps me stay connected. And then and then my mentors, like we push the envelope, man. Like I come in and like I've been at rock bottom and I promised myself that if I lose stuff for going hard for kids and saying the truth or whatever, then there's just something bigger waiting for me. And so like I call it like it is, but the only way I can call it like it is by going back and working with the kids, you know? So like we put together things where I go to the kids and I'm like, hey, tell me what the real is. I'm not in school in 2025. Tell me what's going on. So they tell me what it is. So if they say, look, the teachers ain't connecting with us or we need a community center or we need to know where to go, I go take that back and I'm like, hey, here's what the kids said. Or I put the kids in the position and say, hey, you go tell these people that are making the decisions what it really is for you. And so because I incorporate that, it keeps me connected to that.
Man, how do you get them to trust you to tell you these things?
Kids,
Yeah.
man, just like talking to you. You know what I mean? It's like my best advice when I talk to teachers is be yourself, be a human being. You're not a
Mm,
title, just a math teacher. You might be Susie or John or whatever your name is, be that person. And so to a fault, I'm an open book. So when I talk to the kids, I think the blessing is growing up out here. And so I'm able to connect on all those different levels. I'm going to tell you some of the things that impacted me, make your own decisions, you know what I mean? And just being able to keep it real with them. Then they're like, okay. I took some kids on a leadership retreat. What was super dope is one of the kids, like, I had never met this kid before. He's in an environment where he's never met people and they asked him what kind of leader he was. And he was like, I'm not a leader, man. I do this. I'm not a leader. And then me and him started chopping up and I was like, yeah, you are a leader because you got up and spoke about it. And he went from that to like standing up and giving a speech in front of the group. And then he pulled me aside and he was like, man, I've never really seen somebody from our area be doing positive stuff, but then still keep it 100 with me too. And he's like, when we get back, I'm trying to do other stuff for other people in my school. You know what I mean? I just don't sugarcoat stuff, man. I'm
yeah.
a myself every day, all day. and it just helps kids understand those things. You know what I mean? Do little things like I wear my Jordans to my meetings, and my whole thing is if I can be at the table and have my Jordans on, when you go and you see the kid with his Jordans on, he might be somebody we need to hire later on. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's super dope. That what was that?
We ain't got no boys and girls clubs. Same thing as we did when we were kids. So I try to bring in like mentoring programs, outside organizations, instead of kids trying to go to them. Try to bring them to us, right? And so there's this organization I work with that's doing like leadership stuff. They invited some of our to that camp, so we took them out there, and it was dope, man. Like I just saw these kids go from like wanting to be hard. Like, it was all dudes. They went in there from wanting to be hard, not talking to each other. At the end, we're high-fiving, giving each other 2 full-arm hugs and saying how much we appreciate each other and complimenting each other. Like, it was dope.
So you also mentioned that you coach. Yeah, you were coaching, right? But you don't coach your son anymore. So like, who are you coaching these days?
I was coaching AAU for a long time. Then I coached at small native school out in Puyallup. I did that for 6 years. Learned a lot, man. Like, we built a family out there, and the guy I got to coach with, like, he was 2-time coach of the year, knew his stuff, but we really just built a family. Went to state twice, so I took that. I worked with my brother this year and coached for part of the season over at Spanaway Lake.
Gotcha.
But even it was difficult because my son's on the team and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then outside of that, like, any kids, I don't care if they're in kindergarten, I don't care if they can dribble or not. If they want to get in the gym, I'll use any opportunity to do whatever, and then just talk life. It's a platform. You know what I mean? It's not about putting the ball in the hoop. It's really a platform of whatever you want to put the work in, you can make something happen from it. You know what I mean?
Because you got into coaching from your kids, right? Is that how you started?
Yep.
And then how did you get that?
The head coach, I was coaching his son, and nice. It was dope. I appreciate when people see stuff in me, right? I'm coaching his son, and I'm at a football game, and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a lead assistant coach." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let me see if I can find some people." And I went, like, "Man, what you talking about me?" And he was like, "Man, you get the hint." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So yeah,
that's awesome. So are you gonna try to coach anywhere next year?
No, I honestly, I want to be a dad, man. I just want to be a dad and cheer my son on. It'll be his senior year. He has colleges and stuff looking at him right now, so it's like I help him handle the business side of all the stuff.
For sure, yeah.
And so I'm excited to be in a position where I can just sit in the stands, be quiet, and just enjoy
the dad. Yeah,
he's gonna be gone in a year and a half. You know what I mean? Doing his own thing.
Yeah, no, that's man, that's dope that you can see that, right? And then you know that all these things are kind of coming, and that now you're gonna, with all the like coaching and stuff that you've done in the past, is like, man, it's good to just sometimes, man, take a break and like really enjoy the moments, right? It just sounds like you're going to enjoy all the moments for his senior year and all the other behind the scenes stuff to help support him and be focused with him on that. Because yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to do any other kind of coaching and try to do all those other things too at the same time. It's like too many conflicting schedules and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, it's crazy because it's a small school, so most of our games are out at Ocean Shores. So it's like,
whoa.
Same time, luckily, his games were like on our days where we didn't have games, but it's get off work, go to the gym, get out of the gym, come home. Every other day I'm in the gym watching, either coaching a game or watching a game. And hoop season is long, man. And because we made it to state, we're going from November to the first week in March.
Yes.
On top of and working, like, that was a grind. I'm like, man, I'm never seeing anybody. Then I feel like I'm shorting my youngest son, so now I'm like, I just want to be more balanced.
Yeah, that man, why were the games all the way out? Ocean Shores is not close. That's at least an hour plus.
It's 3 hours, bro. 3 hours.
Okay, thank you. 3 hours. Like, dude, what?
Yeah, it's just the classification of the schools.
Because they're a smaller school.
Yeah. Yeah, the furthest we played was Fort, so that's 4 hours away.
Oh my goodness.
I'm on work night, 4 hours there, 4 hours back, and the games don't start at 7 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
It was nuts, bro. It was nuts.
Yeah, man, with all the, like with your boys being involved in so many things and like you with your stuff, like, man, is it super crazy like in your household? Like
our house
time wise, schedule wise, like I can only imagine like what's going on.
I'm super thankful for my family. Like we're like a machine over here. It's like we run it like a business. So yeah, we're never home, but we have it mapped out where both of our boys feel supported. We get what we need. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're normally not home till 9:30, 10, if not later. But like, we're so unconventional. My kids have never really had a bedtime. We don't have a lot of rules in our house other than be respectful and work hard. You know what I mean? Like, we're each other's friends, so it just makes it work. It flows.
That's so dope. That did. Yeah. Any other things that, anything that you would want to share in general with, some of our old, people that might be watching it all from, from like any of your journeys along the way, or is there anything you need help with, from the community at all with any of the stuff that you're doing?
Stuff like this, honestly. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous at first. I was like, oh, do I really want to do this and talk, and it's gonna be out there for people to see. And there's like I said, I sugarcoated a lot of stuff. People know negative stuff about me and everything. I'm like, dude, people gonna nah. This is the kind of stuff that we need. You know what I mean? Like, you're reconnecting people from our school and like people that are important to us. You know what I mean? So it's like seeing you in other people's names as adults. We need those reminders and those kind of things that we come from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, we're all doing our thing, but this is still, and it's where we came from. So that's on that level. And then for just the kids coming up behind us, like, I'm real big on saying they need to see people like us that grew up out here pouring into them. I think especially for Spanaway Lake, social media plays into it because like the kids, like, you're friends with everybody. So it's hard to have like loyalty to just where you're at and really be supportive of that. But I feel like the more of us that can surround the people in our area and be like, nah, this is home, and all those negative things I brought up in the beginning, it's like they're challenges, but they're opportunities for us to make things better. But they need to see us grown folks and people that they can relate to coming back in and saying, nah, this is still dope. This is still home. We can still make things happen. You know what I mean? So
sure. You brought up a point too that I'm curious about. Man, what's your being in the schools? What's your thoughts on social media and like and the generations today growing up with it? Because you don't realize kind of how lucky we are that we didn't have it growing up.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like working with these kids that that's a part of everybody's life now? What's that like? What are the goods and the bads basically of social media and its impact on the kids?
The good is that it helps you stay connected to people. And if you have the right people in your ear, it's a marketing tool. You know what I mean? Like, you're marketing yourself by showing your personality. The bad part, we did a focus group with some teenagers at one of the high schools, and they pretty much were like, all the problems in schools start on social media. So it's like, if me and you are beefing, and we get in a fight, when we were young, it's like you fight and then you might fight again or something may happen, but then that's it.
Yeah.
Now, in the fight, people are recording it and then it's posted online, and then somebody's hitting you up at nighttime on social media about it. So now you're coming back to school and now you have to defend yourself again because you got beat up on the thing. Well, no, I probably would have got beat up, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I feel it.
So it just makes it hard. And then like, think about it. Like, if there's a rumor or anything going on, you're not going to hear about it later on in the hallway. You're hearing about it in real time. So how are you going to focus on what you're supposed to be doing in class and your goals or anything when you got a million people online talking about you and you're getting all the screenshots and people are posting about you? I think that's tough. One of the kids I coach, he transferred schools last year, and the way they went in on him on social media was so, like, the memes and the threats and videos talking mess. Like, it's a lot for a kid to go through. You know what I mean?
It's a lot for adults to go through. And so, and like, I couldn't imagine like the intensity, because then when when you have other people that you kind of see every day and like you can eat, it's just that mob mentality on like whatever one thing it is. And so it's because a lot of times, you'll join the mob when you're there in person, right? But then, man, when it's online and you're kind of seeing, oh, so-and-so is doing that, so-and-so is doing that, it's easy for other people. And then it just multiplies that mentality, and yeah, it just can get ugly fast. So that's
the other thing it impacts too is like, me and you, if we had a goal, we knew that we had to go figure out a way to go get it and work for it to get that satisfaction or whatever, right? Now it's, if I want a nice car or approval for a nice car, I can go take a picture by somebody else's car, post it, get 1,000 likes, same kind of feeling. So then I'm not really, you know what I mean?
I don't have kids yet, and I don't know how I would navigate that. Just like, do you feel like it affects their like self-esteem at all, or mental? Is that pretty broad? Like, can you say that for like almost like a lot of kids, or I mean, what's the right way to go about it? Like, I don't know how to how
I don't
we,
think there is a right way. I think it impacts everybody. I think about me, like I have so many insecurities just from like those early years, you know what I mean? And so I think about just myself, and I didn't have to face it all the time. Like I could go to school, and if I got made fun of or a girl rejected me or whatever, I'm coming home to my family and I'm cool and I'm safe and I'm accepted and all those kind of things. These kids they can never get away from it. You know what I mean? I think about if I'm posting a picture of myself, what I'm like, am I at the right angle? Am I this? You know what I mean? Like, the kids are doing that all day long, every day, and it's such a part of like that's how they grow up. It's a natural thing to do that, but then you're always worried about like what are people saying. And one thing I learned from my oldest boy is a lot of times during hoop season, he'll shut off his social media because he's always like, if I have a bad game, what are people saying online or whatever? You know, he's a lot like me, and he's very critical of everything. So even if he drops 30, he's going to go on there to see what it looked like and what mistakes he made. But then he also will have to deal with if somebody else makes a mistake. So then what I noticed is he never posts like film of himself or highlights. He'll only repost it from other people. But I know that he doesn't want to look cocky. But another part of it is there's comments going to be on it. Like, people are going to say stuff, and he doesn't want to put himself in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you didn't tell him that, did you tell him that strategy?
No, I just watched him and learned. I was like, okay, I see what he's doing.
Yeah. So I love how like smart these kids are too. And like, you know, just kind of understanding how to navigate through just stuff like that. Like, you know, you would think like, you know, hey, I'm scoring all the points. Let me just post this up real quick. But it's just like, nah, man, there's actually a right way to kind of like navigate through it, because you don't want to deal with, you know, whatever might come your way that's, you know, negative, or just random people too. And that's the thing with the internet. It's just like there's always going to be haters out there, you know? And so that's why, yeah, man, that just makes me, man, I wonder how do any of these kids get through school with all this like crazy technology now? So
it's different. I ain't got the answers for them, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's always hard. It's like everybody that hits me up, I'm always doing something. And so it's like,
yeah,
no. Never answer.
Especially, man, like your youngest has got, you know, he's got a full on job, sounds like. So it's just like, dude, that's crazy. That's always like, what?
It's dope. I just try to teach them business, man. Like, it was super cool when he signed the contract. But he's smart. He was like, we got to the studio and he's like, I'm not recording anything until I sign something and they pay me. And I was like, good, know your work, man.
That's your kid. That's your kid. That's your kid for sure. That's so dope.
So where are you at?
I'm in Samoa.
Okay. How long you been over there?
I just been here for over a year. Okay. So, and it's kind of crazy because I didn't think I was going to be here this long, and it's been cool, you know? So, because I lost my dad like 2019. So it's just my mom, and then she wanted to move here because we were in Vegas. So we moved over here, but I've been back to Seattle twice. And then this is like my longest I've kind of been out here. Oh, what were you doing?
I was managing people. I did some everything. You have to be like an intern and show that you can sell and come up with your plan and all that. So I was managing and training those people. And part of the reason I left too, it got crazy. Like I said, the reason I got the job, my boss told me, is because they had a question. It was like, okay, if somebody can't sell, what would you tell them? And I was like, I'd have to let them go start that you're not going to do well at. And I was like, man, I can't do that.
Everything's kind of ghetto out here. It's like the power goes out. Like we had a crazy storm the last time I recorded. But since that's happened, every day the power has gone out. Like as so far today, it hasn't gone out yet. So I'm just like, okay, so far so good. Hopefully the power doesn't go out, because I think it knocked down some power lines or something. But I mean, the infrastructure is just terrible here too. So I don't really like being here. So it's like, so that's another reason why I love doing these podcasts, because it kind of gives me like, it brings me away from here. It kind of brings me back to Spanaway, which, you know, 1,000 times would rather be in Spanaway than here. So that's why it's like, yeah, it's just like, it's good. It's good for me. It's healthy for me. Gives like, it just, the positivity it brings, and just like being able to talk to people like you. And it's dope. It's just, man. So I'm so thankful for it. Yeah. Anything else before I kind of, land the plane here that you want to maybe share with us? Like, any maybe misconceptions people had of you maybe when you were younger, or just anything that maybe you missed? Obviously, yeah, anything that you would want to share at all with, with the people.
I can't say they're misconceptions. conceptions or whatever. Like, people are allowed to think what they think. But I think when I look back, one of the things I tell myself is like, I don't mind not being liked. I hate being misunderstood. And so when I look back on things, like just the stuff I was telling you, like about what's going on at home for me, I do remember like sometimes people, and even now, people like, oh, you're cocky or you're this, or you think you're better. And I'm like, no, man, I'm just trying to make it. I just been through a whole bunch, and I got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm just doing the best I can to survive. So I think it's not so much about me, but just when we look at other people, like, there's a story behind everything. You know what I mean? There's a story behind everything. And sometimes we got to get over ourselves and our own assumptions and just talk to people like you're doing right now. You know what I mean? Talk to people, learn people's stories. Life is short. I've lost a whole bunch of people. So I'm just real big on everything we go through isn't for us. It's meant to build somebody else up and to be able to leverage our experiences to help somebody. Tap into that more. Let's tap into each other's stories. Let's have conversations like this and get to understand each other more and be like, damn, I can really grow from what they're doing. It's like, you doing this right here, like, you're bringing people together. You know what I mean? And there's a reason behind why you're together. You know what I mean? Like, that's purpose, and it ties into your story in some kind of way.
No, man, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and like, this gives me energy. I think I've said it before too. And yeah, however I can feel like I can, like, help, because I think there's, I mean, when people bring up the word purpose, that's kind of like where I get this from. It's like, man, maybe this is kind of like gives me a purpose. Right. And I'm just so thankful just so far, the feedback that we've gotten from our peers, and just, just all the men, thankful for all the great things that you said. So it's like, man, I'm just so glad that we have the technology we have today to do this, and that, that I kind of found something that I like to do too on top of that. So
yeah, it's dope, man.
Appreciate it. So the last thing I always like to ask people, if you could go back to, into 1998 and you could have a conversation with yourself, like, what would that look like? What would you today tell Letraun back then?
To just chill, man. Take life slow, live a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to be an adult at 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I got married super young, and, in all honesty, like, I wouldn't recommend that for anybody. Like, it's rough. But it was, bought a house at 20, got married at 20, did all these things, and grew up so fast because I felt like I had to accomplish so many goals and make other people proud, including my dad, who was gone. You know what I mean? Like, in all honesty, like, that's such a big part of my life and took and controlled me for so long that I'm like, I missed out on being a kid. I missed out on just being a young man and learning as I go, because I felt like I had to have it all figured out right then. I had to carry my family on my shoulders. I had to be the greatest example I could for my younger brother. And in all honesty, all that stuff just blew up because I couldn't get it right because I was too young. You know what I mean?
Man, thank you so much for just coming on the show today and sharing your experiences. So many people are going to love this. And so I'm so excited to put this out to the world, because, man, I'm just so thankful. It's just like the positivity that you're just not only bringing to the show, but like just everywhere that you touch, and like you could see it in all the things that you do. And so, man, I'm just excited to see what more that you have to share with the world. And so yeah, man, thanks again for coming on.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for doing this, man.
For sure. And we'll see everybody on the next one.
All right, y'all. Peace.